Okay, great.
So call the meeting to order at 7:35.
I just lost my. Did I send 2 sheets of paper down there?
No, it's fine.
The sheet with
Yeah,
the notes.
And
It's not
my
the,
agenda's going through. Hang on. Oh, Chuck, did I give it back to you maybe when I sent the,
no, this is the sheet right here. Let me see if I accidentally.
I literally don't have my, I had my stuff right here.
Let me make sure I didn't accidentally.
Okay, guys, we're pausing for 1 more minute. Happy New Year. Okay, everybody, we're starting over again, all right? A little bit late here, but we'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:37.
Yep.
And if we could, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Any volunteers?
Jim, you want to lead us off?
I would be happy to. I pledge
allegiance to the flag
Flag
Yes,
of the United States of America,
to the republic for
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
All right, thank you. And moving on to roll call. Supervisor Crowner,
Here.
Trustee Benzel, Trustee Hickey. Kelly, you're on mute.
I am here, sorry.
I'm looking right at you and Jim. Trustee Jones,
Here.
Trustee Ruckus,
Here,
Assessor Kern,
Here.
Highway Commissioner Weiser,
Here.
Tax Collector David Scriven Young,
I'm here.
and Clerk Liskey here. If we could, let's open the meeting for any public comment.
All right, hearing none.
Hearing none, we'll move along. First on, or rather next on the agenda is the approval of minutes, the board minutes from December 9th, 2021. Could I have a motion to approve? All right, and any discussion? Then let's move on to approve. Could we approve the minutes, please? By roll call. Supervisor Crowner?
Yes.
Trustee Benzel?
Yeah.
Trustee Jones?
Yeah.
Trustee Ruckus?
yes,
And Trustee Hickey?
Yes,
Terrific, minutes are approved. 5-0. Next up, approval of the special board meeting minutes from the open session on December 20th. Could I have a motion to open for discussion
I make a motion.
and approval? Thanks.
second,
Kelly, got you. Any comments or discussion, questions, concerns? Okay, hearing none, could we move on for approval then? And we'll do that by roll call again. Supervisor Crowner,
Yes.
Trustee Benzel, Trustee Jones,
Yeah.
Trustee Ruckus,
Yes,
Trustee Hickey.
yes,
Okay, the special board meeting minutes are approved. 5-0. Moving on, old business, doesn't appear there's any. So we're going really fast, you guys. New business. Discussion and approval of the 2022 PACE Partners Agreement. Could I have,
So I'm actually gonna motion to postpone that to next month. They finally got us an updated copy of our agreement. However, we just received it half an hour ago, and I want to give all the trustees sufficient time to be able to review before approving. I'll also send it to our attorney for review prior to the next board meeting. So I'm gonna motion to postpone the approval of the new PACE agreement to our February regular board meeting.
You know if they're gonna be discussing any of that at that meeting on the 28th?
So the meeting that's gonna be on the 28th is a separate issue from that contract.
Michael, there won't be any interruption of service, will they, by putting it off?
Nope, we're good.
Good, then I second.
All right, so do I need to take a roll call on a postponement?
I guess you can.
I'll just do it just to cover. Okay, Supervisor Crowner,
Yes.
Trustee Hickey,
Yes.
Trustee Ruckus,
Yes.
Trustee Banzel,
Yes.
and Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Okay, motion to postpone to the February meeting passes 5-0. Okay, moving along. Next up is discussion on the 2022-2023 budget timeline. Could we get a motion to open discussions?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, so a couple things that I would like to discuss with you all, proposed calendar for the 2022-2023 budget, as well as getting your input. So what I want to ask of all of you over the next 30 days or so is for you to look over our budget from the last 12 months, look at our spending over the last 12 months from the board packages that you have gotten, and let me know if you identify anything that you would like kind of addressed in the next budget. If there's any items that you think we should be putting more of a focus on in terms of allocating additional funds to it, if there are any particular items that you think we should consider finding ways to pare back. Always open to all of that discussion. However, please do not just tell me, cut this number down without kind of supporting evidence for why or how we're gonna make up for that. Because I think we would all love and aspire to continue to, reduce waste and reduce costs where we can. However, we also got to be practical about the realities of running a body of government, and there are expenses that go with it. I want to also make sure that everybody takes into account that we also are seeing rising costs, and there's inflation going on. Fortunately, we do have several contracts which prevent costs from going up too quickly on us, but there are going to be day-to-day costs that will go up. So just please make sure you're taking that into account as you're reviewing the budget and thinking through it. Like I said, just please give me any suggestions you may have, any things that you guys would like a particular focus on, any initiatives that you'd like to think about instituting. And it may not necessarily be that we can always do everything in year one or, the first year of when you want to do something. But if there's a way that we can phase things in a responsible manner, I'm open to that discussion. So that's my ask of you all as you all are reviewing the budget and thinking about what we're going to be doing going forward. In terms of the actual calendar itself, my goal is for us to have a budget to essentially review and to hang, right? By our March board meeting. So the idea would be that we approve a budget at that March board meeting, hang it for the minimum required 30 days, and then do the final approval in April. And just kind of roll with it from there. Any additional question? I believe that roughly goes in with what the calendar typically is for the budget and the approval process here. So any questions that I can answer with regards to that?
Just to clarify,
Yes.
you want everyone's feedback by our next meeting or when?
Yes, that
what's
would
the
be
date
helpful if I could have everybody's feedback within the next 30 days so that I can do what I have to with our accountant to actually draft and incorporate kind of everybody's comments. I'd like to be able to have that taken care of so that you guys have plenty of time to review that budget prior to our potential approval in March. Comments?
Michael,
Yes.
since this is not gonna be my first year for the budget process, in terms of the cemetery,
Yes.
are you looking for the cemetery budget on the same timeline?
Yeah, that would be helpful. Yeah, because we would have to approve all of it at the same time. We do kind of all of the budgets that we would approve everybody's in March, right? Now yours is a little bit different in that you don't have to give me feedback, right, by kind of February, but if you could at least get that done, let's call it 2 weeks prior to our approval deadline so that everybody can see the budget that you're proposing to discuss at the March meeting, that would be very helpful.
Fair enough.
So 2 weeks prior to the March meeting, what you're looking at?
Yeah, that would be my goal to distribute to the trustees.
going to be some changes from between March to April, like you said, final approval is in April.
Yes.
So if there are going to be some changes between March, after March.
So
like,
that would be,
September?
so that's why the goal is to get it to you all in mid-February so that we don't have to continue making adjustments. You can make any commentary that you may have, any suggestions, any final suggestions prior to that March board meeting so that we have something that's basically ready to go for everybody at that March board meeting. Because then if we keep changing it, then we have to talk about rehanging budgets and so forth. And I prefer to not have to extend it out any further than we want to be as ahead of it as we can. Okay, any additional comments or questions? None in here. Kelly, Colleen?
Sounds good to me.
Okay,
Cal,
all right.
Yep.
So
it's
then-
not required vote. does it?
No,
There's
we don't have
nothing
to,
vote
we
on.
don't have to vote on anything,
Okay.
so we can move on to the next item.
Okay, great. So moving on, could I get a motion to open discussions on the 2022-2023 assessor's budget? Thank you.
I second that.
Thank you.
You guys can continue, we'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Just one thing on the budgets from what was just being discussed during the last item. If you go to wheatlandtownship.com, you will see under, I think it's under transparency. There's a compilation of all the budgets for Wheatland Township for the last at least 10 years, maybe 12. So you can go there and you can see, particularly for many of the people that are doing this for the first time, you don't really have anything to compare it to. You know, somebody can put something down in front of you, but what does it mean? You don't have anything to compare it to. So you can compare previous years on there and kind of get a feel for what's going on, what the trends are, maybe then try to ask some questions as to, well, why is this happening? Why is this going up? Why is this going down? Anyway, just want to throw that in. Okay, so you have this in the packet, Township of Wheatland Assessor Budget Fiscal 2023. Everybody has that? Okay,
Colleen and Kelly, do you have copies of the proposed budget for Chuck's office?
Yes, if that was what Anita sent me, then yeah, I have it.
No, that's
Well,
not.
I have
It looks
just-
like a comparison of all these other townships.
Okay,
that's not where we are. It's Township of Wheatland Assessor Budget Fiscal Year 2023 at the top.
Did
Okay.
Carolyn send it?
I'll make sure you guys have it. Just bear with me for one moment, okay? I'm getting it out to you guys.
Did you hear that? It's coming.
Thank you.
All right, it's sending, so you guys should have it in the next 30 seconds or so.
Thanks.
Do you want to go ahead? Chuck,
I
or-
got it. Thank
Okay,
you.
there's one. Okay, great.
They have it now.
Okay, good. All right, so what we, the various columns are here, as you can see, the first column is the fiscal year actual expenditures through December 15th. The second column is what Mark, the accountant, has estimated is going to be the ending amount for the year. He may be a little low there, we'll see. I will come in under budget. The budget, as you can see in the fourth column, is 372. He's got it coming in at about 365, so it'll be, you know, when it's all said and done, it'll be 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, something like that under budget. That's what I would be expecting. The third column is my proposed budget for the upcoming year. Fourth column is budget for this year. Fifth column is the change in dollars between this year and next year. So what I guess the main things to note is what's going up and what's going down. As you can see, number 4138, health insurance. We're showing a budget this year of 44,000 approximately. And next year, we're showing 59,000+. And that's the main driver here of the budget, of the increase that I'm asking for here is health insurance. We have the same, well, so what we have here is an increase of about 15,000. And well, about 7,000 of the 15 is an increase to the people who are already covered. So let's say we have the same people covered this year, we have the same people covered next year. So that's an increase of 7,000 because that's what went up. And then we have an additional 8,000+ on top of that. And the reason that we added that was because we have a retirement that's pending here of one of our employees. And she is currently not on the health insurance plan.
Okay.
So she will be departing before the end of the fiscal year. And we don't have a replacement yet. But I'm anticipating that the person that gets hired is probably going to need coverage.
Okay.
So that's why in the coverage, that's about what the coverage is. It's about $8,000. So that is that's what's driving this increase, as you can see. That's about, we're showing a total increase of 23,000 with 15,000 of it is health insurance. As far as the other items, like below health insurance, excuse me, what I did was I reduced wherever possible to try to offset the increase in the benefits. So as you can see, for example, training and educational classes, which we have, which we need to take periodically to maintain our certification. I've reduced that significantly. So we'll just postpone much of it into the following year if where at all possible. We had an expense in item number 4920, computer software and hardware. So I'm showing a budget of 10,000. It looks like this year we're going to have about 16,000 expended in that line. And a lot of that was due to a new server that we purchased last year. So that's obviously going to go away. We're not going to, that's an expense that's just going to be gone. So that's helpful on that line. I don't recall what the exact cost was on that server and all the installation and the work, but it was probably in the vicinity of 6,000 or 7,000. Everything else is probably pretty close to equal for what the prior year was. And then I have an increase budgeted for wages. And basically, we have 5 employees. We have an average wage, annual wage in my office of about $49,000. So that's, so I'm looking at an increase there of an amount of, in the range of 2,000, 2,500 approximately per person. And that is pretty much it. Oh, when I was telling you about the WheatlandTownship.com and the budgets for the prior years, if you would go on there and look at the assessor's budget, we're spending less money right now than we did 10 years ago. The 10 years ago, the assessor's budget, because I went back and looked at it recently, it was like 409,000, something like that. So for the last 10 years, just depending on what's going on in the office and how many employees we may have on the staff at any particular time, the assessor's budget has typically gone from about a low of 360 to a high of about 409. That's pretty consistent throughout the last 10 years. So that is that. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Yeah, a couple of questions for you. So
Yes.
most of our, I believe, our computer software fees, that's for the software that we get from, is it the assessor software from JRM?
From Jerry?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. And then can you explain to me, because I know he also,
Well, excuse me. We get our information management system from through him.
yeah,
And then we pay $1,000 a month for the subscription.
to that
And for
software.
that.
Yeah,
So that's 12,000 a year.
Okay.
There, that line is
yeah, I see those computer software.
4220.
Yeah,
And then we get under computer software and hardware. I think. Want to bear with me for 1 sec, because
No
I'll
problem.
another file.
Yeah.
Because I can give you the rundown on that.
so basically my question primarily came down to this, is that I understand that we do that we get the software, we have the subscription from him. What goes into the subcontractor work that we do with him? Because does he not also earn subcontractor fees?
Well, the subcontractor fee is his $1,000 a month. That is the monthly fee for the maintenance on the system, the updates, because every year you have
Sure.
updates, and service. So, he'll come out and train people. He'll come out and work with the staff. So that's all included
Okay.
in the $1,000.
So, but that's, so then, just so I understand it, so then it's 1,000 per month for the software and 1,000 for, let's call it training, updates, any questions you may have on the system and maintenance?
It's 1,000 for everything.
Okay,
For Jerry. Then, now we would have other expenses that would be in the 49. So the Jerry $1,000 a month expense is
Yeah.
in 4220.
4220 subcontractor fees.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not the computer software. fees.
No.
Okay,
So then we got separate software that we have subscriptions to that we get every year. Like we've got one for, you've seen it in the bills, called Marshall and Swift.
okay,
It's $2,000 a year, and we subscribe to that, and that's it's a commercial costing software
Okay.
that helps us assess those properties, that type
Sounds
of
good.
thing.
I was just confused. And the only reason I asked, because I was just confused because I understand that we pay for a software, but then it's under subcontract. So I just wanted to make sure I understood
Yeah.
intuitively
So
how
that's
that's
a
laid
good
out.
question, because there's a lot of other things that go into 4920
Yeah,
that are, the antivirus.
okay, understood.
Just a number of those things.
Yeah, and the Microsofts and everything like that. I just wanted to make sure that I understood
360.
where we're plugging Jerry on this, because I know it's software, but he
Yeah.
also does essentially kind of consulting work as well.
I'm glad you mentioned Jerry though, because, you know, other than benefits and payroll, that's, you know, basically what the assessor, the main expense for the assessor's office.
Sure.
Is what we do with our information management system.
Yep.
And there are basically two suppliers in our area of these systems.
Mhm.
One is JRM.
Yep.
Which is Jerry. The other is another company. And we have looked at that other company because you may be wondering, oh, you know, is there anybody else out there? Can we bid it out? You know, that kind of thing. And we did look at the other main supplier a couple of years ago. And we took actually a very close look at it because Will County wanted us to convert to that system. And it was substantially more expensive.
Okay.
So we took a pass on that. And Jerry actually has been acquiring more business in the other Will County townships over time.
Yeah.
And he's getting a lot of the bigger townships. He just got Joliet, he just got Frankfurt. So he's getting, he's doing something right.
Great. I'm glad to hear it. Like I said, I just wanted to understand how it was being laid out in there. And then my last question, for the payroll expenses, for the replacement of the individual retiring, are you already looking to recruit? Are you expecting the salary to be flat, or is it going to be the same experience? You're looking for someone maybe a little less experienced, or maybe costing a little? I just want to understand what the market looks like for that staffing right now.
That's a very good question. You're looking at, for those of you who are tuning in on the computer, I have my fingers crossed there. I have two candidates.
Okay.
I got two very good candidates. I was hoping to fill this through word of mouth, you know,
Sure.
through the Assessors Association, that kind of thing. The last opening we had, I advertised it. It was a lot of time and trouble for very little return.
Sure.
I had something like 700 resumes, and I ended up having two people that I could call back, and
Okay.
it was brutal. But that's a very good question about this market, because I was a little bit concerned about that. And,
Yeah.
you know, what do you have to pay somebody these days to come to work?
Yeah.
So right now I've got two people, and they seem to be in the range of where we are, of what our compensation is. So we're not gonna be in a situation where we're gonna have to break through that and pay somebody, say, way more than our staff makes.
And then the last question, I guess, for those,
I'm fingers crossed.
and for those two candidates,
I don't have that in the budget anyway, so we just couldn't do that.
so are those two candidates already licensed, or will we potentially have to pay for the fees for them to get their licensure?
Actually, one of them is licensed
Okay.
already. The other one is somebody who is actually working for us part-time right now.
Okay.
And she's working at a very low level. She just works a few hours a week.
Sure.
So she is, while not licensed,
Mhm.
she would be somebody that that we would, you know, slowly work her into that.
Okay.
So I wouldn't, if that particular person did get hired, there wouldn't be a large expense this year to
Okay.
try to train that person. We would do it as we could.
Sure. Understood. And then the raise that you are suspecting to provide to your employees, is that kind of the market market? That's what's going on with the assessors right now and other offices as well?
No, I don't know the answer to that, because I think everybody's still, this is a very early stage.
Okay.
I don't know, I do not have any information as far as what other assessors will be submitting to their boards,
Okay.
because it's just.
It's
It's all happening right now,
Yeah.
but
I just want to sure if there was kind of like guidance from like the
No.
assessor associations, kind of what they're
No.
anticipating for you know,
No, but-
projected raises. And
But we all know what's going on out in the world. And as far as inflation, so. It's
all right, well, that's
it's real.
that's all the questions I had. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I do.
Kelly,
Thank you. I am looking at this and I went back and looked, Chuck, thank you for the looking at the old budgets. And so I started just pulling those up and I'm just curious, is there a difference in the amount of costs, you know, that your budget, would it fluctuate with the quadrennial assessments?
That's next year.
Right, and so is that typically?
That's not this upcoming fiscal year. It's fiscal 24.
Okay, but when we were talking about that, there's kind of a wide difference of, you know, somewhere between 360 and 409, I think is what we
Yeah.
said.
Yes.
Does that difference have anything to do with whether it's a quadrennial? Is that a more expensive year?
Yeah, yes, it might. Yes, it might. I might be back here next year saying that, you know, we need to budget for some overtime or something.
Okay,
I don't know. We've done that in the past. Last quadrennial, we did have some amount of overtime. We did it with the same staff that we have. We didn't add anybody, but it did take some overtime. So yeah, that might be a possibility, but not for, that'd be for fiscal 24.
okay, yeah, I just wanted to note that when I was looking at the old budgets.
Also, in years past, we may have had, you know, part-time people that were hired from time to time, work 20 hours a week. You know, they might be working full-time some other place. They work here nights or weekends. It just depended on what was going on.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, Kelly? All right, Colleen, any questions? Are you good?
I'm good. Thank you, Michael.
There's no additional comments. Want to move on to the next item for discussion?
yes, next up is discussion on ordinance for bills. So could we have a motion to open discussion, please?
Motion.
Thank you. Second. Was that you, Terry? Got you. Great,
Okay.
thanks.
So, and after our last meeting, we talked about the different options with regards to ordinances. Was speaking with Carolyn regarding that option. And then she actually sent you all a copy of an ordinance that was passed in 2020, which actually authorizes us to do exactly what we want to do. For basically, essentially, it says that we can prepay a bill so long as it's to avoid any penalties or late charges, and that they're necessary for kind of the ongoing running of this office. There were different reasons that it wasn't always kind of actually utilized in kind of practicality. So what I have told Carolyn to do is, because that is already an adopted ordinance, that I want her to go ahead and do that going forward. My ask of you all is to review that ordinance. If there are any proposed changes that you would like to suggest for it, let me know and we can potentially discuss that at a future board meeting. Any amendments that you guys may suggest. But as of right now, we do have the authority to pay bills so as to avoid late fees. And so I'm gonna tell Carolyn to go ahead and start doing that. So any questions about that?
So we prepay the bills.
So we do not currently, and that's why we've been getting the late fees. But however, we are going to, I'm gonna authorize her to go ahead and start doing it. I don't know if Chuck, again, we weren't all here when that was passed, so I can't speak to the concerns that may have been from the previous board or previous supervisor as to why they did not want it to necessarily be implemented at that time. But for the time being, I am going to tell Carolyn to start following that ordinance. And as I said, if you all have any concerns about that ordinance specifically, any potential amendments you would like to make, I highly suggest you kind of bring that to the board. But for now, we're gonna start doing that to try and cut down on some of these late fees. And Chuck, if you wanna expand on why.
Yeah, well, the reason we adopted that in the first place was because we received shut off notices from county.
Yeah.
And you just have to pay them.
Yep.
They don't care who you are. They don't care if you're a governmental body or not. So that was definitely an issue. And then I believe we were late with an insurance payment one time, which is not good.
Yeah.
And then I think and then as you said, getting charged either late fees or interest on credit cards.
Yep.
And I know that I don't think there's a lot of credit card use around here, but there's some.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of not good to spend taxpayer money.
Of course.
on late fees. So that's why it was adopted.
Yeah. You have any commentary, understanding as to why it wasn't always utilized? Was there any concerns from previous trustees about it? And so the kind of practice stopped?
Not that I recall.
Okay.
And not that I recall. And the last 5 years I've been kind of out of that
Sure.
part of it. So I don't know if we received any shut off notices late,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about when I was.
Of course.
That's
I feel like it might have been the cable bill, which is the same thing. Aren't we talking about this round?
Yes.
But I apologize. I completely forgot about that resolution.
No problem. So, like I said, I'm gonna have Carolyn start doing that. And just so you all know, even with us prepaying bills before the trustees necessarily approve every single one, there are several checks on it. I have to sign off on bills for the township, Chuck for the assessor's office, David for the cemetery, and Tom for the highway department. So that's the first check that we have to see the bill and initial it before a check's even made up. After that, I have to sign a check. Anita also has to sign a check to review that check to author, so basically say that, yes, this was a signed check by me, and also this is a legitimate bill. And then it's also sent to our accountant, who kind of reviews everything and makes sure everything's in line as well. So there are several checks as well before it even gets to the board. This is, of course, the final approval and the final decision ultimately, but I just want you all to know that there's nothing that's kind of going out there that's nobody has an eye on, and we're just paying. Everything still has signatures and approvals even prior to coming before the board.
Yeah, the only other thing I could think of that some taxing bodies do, I know, is they have meetings twice a month.
Yeah.
And that's the reason they do, is because it's to pay bills.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's an option if you want to go down that route. I don't know if you want to.
So how would be dealing with if there is any adjustments or the reversals or something next month?
I'm sorry?
If there is some kind of adjustment or the reversal or any changes in the bill.
Yeah.
So they are just crediting in the next bill, like since we already prepaid the.
So we're not gonna be
It's not
prepaying.
a prepay.
So what we're doing is we're just actually gonna pay it on time. When I say prepay, I mean prior to authorization from the board. But it's not that we're paying a bill like early or giving an extra credit. We're actually just paying it on time. So when I use the word prepay, I just mean prior to trustee authorization. Thank you for the question. Any additional comments or questions?
Nope.
All right, with that, you want to go? on to the
Okay,
next
moving
item?
on, we're gonna move on to approve bills and claims. So could I have a motion to open discussion?
Motion.
Thank you. Second,
Second that.
thank you. Are there any comments or questions or concerns on the bills this month? If not.
Oh, I just want to point out one thing, because y'all may have a question. With regards to the, our auditor, you'll see another charge on there. So they had like a weird issue where they were charging us like the wrong amount before. So they issued us a credit for a previous payment, and they asked for a check, for a full check with the correct payment. So if you're wondering why it feels like we've paid the auditor a few times, that's why. We have not yet, though. We did not pay more than we were supposed to. We got a refund on a previous check and then we're just reauthorizing a check.
Questions? Okay, can we move on with the roll
All
call
right,
vote
motion.
then?
Yeah, motion to approve bills and, or roll call vote. I guess I'm first, right?
Yeah,
Sorry, jumped it. Yes.
do it, you wanna do the rest of it? I'm just kidding. Okay, Supervisor Crowner, yes. Trustee Hickey,
Yes.
trustee Rockus,
yes,
trustee Banzel,
Yes.
trustee Jones.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Bills approved 5-0. And let's move on to reports. Assessor Kern.
Yes, I'm just passing out something here.
And this is what we said, this is what
This
I,
is what you
yeah.
sent to.
okay, folks on the
Kelly
Zoom,
and
this is what I texted you.
got it.
Thanks.
Pass that. Oh, you got plenty
You
of
got one,
extras
too?
'cause they're not here.
Okay, take it away, Chuck.
All right, so I just want to kind of tell everybody what's happening behind the scenes. What you're looking at is a list of all the townships in Will County from the largest to the smallest. So you see Wheatland is the largest in assessed value. So you see 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. So I don't know if we've ever really gotten into it in the past, but the assessed value is supposed to be 1/3 of your market value. Okay, so if you have a $600,000 house, your assessed value is supposed to be $200,000, which is 33.33%. So what you're looking at is under the column 2019, then 2020 right next to it, is how each township came in when you compare it to the benchmark, which is 33.33. Okay, so as you can see, most of them, you go up and down there, most of them are pretty much right on the money in 2019. Get into 2020, you can see that each of the townships is kind of falling off a little bit. And why would that be? Maybe, would you want to hazard a guess as to why that would be?
Real estate costs.
Because of prices going up. Prices going up faster than the assessor can move it up. Okay, so as you can see there, that everybody's slipping a little bit. So what happens is, the third column is the state through Will County decides that since everybody's slipping, they're gonna put a factor on it. So what that factor is they're gonna take your assessed value of 200,000, they're gonna multiply it times 1.0165 for Wheatland. And that's gonna be your new assessment. And that's what's gonna be for the year. Okay, so that's how they catch up with rising prices. All right, so now, and that was what was done last year. And so everybody's assessment reflected that 1.0165. Now, look at the next well, 2 columns over. Now you've got 2021. Everybody's falling even further behind now.
Sure.
Okay, obvious why. So now, in lieu of doing a reassessment of all the neighborhoods, the county is coming in again with a factor to put on all of the properties to get them up closer to where their real market value is. So as you can see, the last column is 2022, which we're just going into now, the assessment year, and that for Wheatland is 1.048. So what's going to happen is they're going to multiply your assessed value by 1.048. And so, and as you can see, a lot of the other townships, they're getting even more than we are because they've fallen even further behind. So they've fallen even further behind because they've had even more appreciation, or they haven't done quite as good of a job as assessing as some of the rest. So anyway, that's kind of what's happening in the world of assessing for the upcoming year. That's what everybody can expect. That's what we're telling our customers when we talk to them, that this is what they can expect. And as you can see, it says tentative, and that will change because more numbers are coming in all the time. But this is what we're kind of working with right now. It could go up or down. So anyway, that's that kind of shows you how we compare to people. As you'll notice, some of them are going up 6 and 7% actually. So
10% for Wesley.
so we're a little bit better. But like a Joliet, 1.06375, Plainfield, 1.067. So that's what's going on. Obviously, people know what's going on in the market. That's how it gets captured. So, any questions on that or anything else?
So if I am.
That's your assessor education.
So if I were to read this correctly, it looks like you and your staff are in the, essentially the top, call it almost about the top third in the county in terms of being able to keep our values accurately assessed. Is that essentially what it means? If you're on the lower end of the 10 factor?
We're close to the top.
Yeah.
And really, the smaller ones are not a good guide because some of it's best to compare to the larger ones because the smaller ones don't. Some of those small townships, they might have, 3 giant farms and 3 giant warehouses. And
Yeah.
That's about it. So they don't compare very well.
The Custer always runs high.
All right.
So that's that. Any other questions there? Okay.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. Highway Commissioner Weiser.
So right now it's all about snow plowing. We've had 5 snow and snow salt events. Just for a little bit of education, out in the lobby, there's a little cup. One of the things that we follow is that this cup full of salt is about how much you need to salt this conference room. We try to follow that same thing, so we feel like we salt about the right way. So far on usage, we've been pretty good. Used about 107 tons of salt. We got a fair amount more in reserve. If things keep going where they're going, will be great. Just a reminder, we did get nailed pretty badly last year, late February. Remember, it was snowed pretty badly. I got a couple head shaking, remember that. Even though it started, we set records for the latest snowfall ever in the Chicago area. But we might get that. That's it.
All right.
Great.
Second time.
Trustee Vanzel.
So we wrapped up our 2021 senior lunches with a very wonderful holiday lunch with the seniors, about 20 seniors, December 15th, Wednesday. I believe we all had a great time. We spent about $800 for the lunch. And I believe with the season, because of the winter season, we don't have a senior lunches for Jan, Feb, and March. We're gonna start in April. Next month sometime, myself and Kelly will be sitting together and working and planning what we all wanted to do, the activities with the senior for the rest of the year. And
Thank you. Trustee Hickey.
Hello. Just to kind of go along with that, we probably will be finally appointing those new members to the senior committee. I have to gauge interest of the people that we talked to again, since it's been a while. So we'll go ahead and do that and invite them to the first committee meeting and then appoint them so that they can become active members. And then also I exchanged some emails with our Eagle Scout, and I'm trying to get him to give me something so that we can contribute if anyone's interested in contributing to his project. So he's been very hesitant to share anything like that. I'm like, Venmo, anything, but he's like, I've got birthday money. So, but I think that he's excited to do the project, and I'm excited for them to get started. So that's all.
Thanks, Kelly.
Kelly, maybe we should just surprise him with a check.
Like a big check, like a,
Yeah, like a photo op
Size
check. And
We'll show up with
we'll do a
cameras at his
little
door.
ceremony, like, who did I just read is taking over the Publishers Clearinghouse? It's somebody you guys would know. I forget. Anyway, sorry. Thanks, Cal. Trustee Jones.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Trustee Rackus.
Yeah, tell Kelly I'll share some of my birthday money with him. But
I just
no,
get my own birthday money.
yeah, exactly. Nothing to report for my end.
Okay, thanks. And I'm up next. Clerk Liskey, honestly, nothing to report from me. There was a relatively quiet December, which I'm not complaining about. Tax collector and cemetery, David Scrivenon.
Yeah, so since our last meeting, we had 3 burials, 2 casket, 1 ash services. Of course, we had a lot of inquiries regarding monuments and things of that nature. Last year in 2021, we had a total of 21 burials, which Jim tells me is perhaps the highest number of burials we've had, which I found pretty interesting. And then, of course, the big news is if you've been out by the cemetery, our fence is up.
Yay.
So and it looks great. Guys did a great job in putting that together again. Thanks to Tom and his crew for helping, assisting getting the old fence posts down and everything that you guys do. So really appreciate that. In terms of the sign, so 2 things we're gonna have to do. One is there's a historic preservation commission that we need approval from. There was a meeting last week that got canceled because of the weather. So we're gonna be hopefully before them in February to get that approved. And then after that's approved, we'll get our permit going. But as I understand it, because of sort of the material shortage and that sort of thing, the sign still isn't made. So we got some time on that yet, but I think we're making great progress on those projects. So any questions?
Any update as far, I know you guys were doing kind of research and trying to decide kind of the new fee structure going forward. Any updates on that, or still kind of doing the research?
Yeah,
on
we're
it?
still doing the research. I
Okay.
did compile some information from the Plainfield Cemetery, and
Sure.
it does look like, in terms of their, non-resident fee structure, that they're quite ahead of us in terms of, amount, but I'll have more to report probably next month.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
And Dave, just a question. Did you say 3 caskets and 1 ash burial? Did I?
2 casket, 1
I'm
ash.
sorry. Okay, 2 and 1. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries.
Anything else?
Not for me.
Other questions or anything from David? If not, Michael, it's all yours.
All right, only comments, couple quick ones. We had the staff holiday party in December, which was very well attended. I have a meeting set up next week with Plainfield Parks, and it's a phone call, Colleen, so I'll send you the details if you want to jump on with it. Just regarding their plans in the area with the land that they have, and kind of talking about how they can kind of mix in with our plot and kind of getting some synergies there and hopefully some cost savings.
Thanks.
And let's see, I already told you guys about the auditor fee that was in the bills. Last piece with Pace, there was a discussion this morning with the Naperville partnership. That was just regarding the contract that you all will see hopefully by our next board meeting. A few final adjustments that need to be made. I'll give you further commentary on that later. And just know that I'm hard at work negotiating our rates and making sure we get every dollar squeezed out of that we can. So today's discussion, I was able to make sure that we got an extra almost $6,000 in grants coming our way from PACE, which will assist a little bit with some of the cost increases we're gonna be dealing with at the township over the next year. So hard at work on that. And that's all I have to report. Question?
Was I interrupting you? I just thought of something.
Yeah.
Completely off the topic,
Sure.
but it's for you. We mentioned earlier that I have one of the assessor's employees retiring.
Yeah.
And I was talking to somebody here, I can't remember who it was, and we were wondering when the last time we had a person retire from Newton Township.
Sure.
And we could not determine that we've ever had anybody retire. So anyway, I was wondering if it might be appropriate for the board to maybe recognize the long service of, a longtime employee.
Sure.
So maybe we could do like
Proclamation or resolution of some sort for the next meeting.
next month. And,
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
Good wish.
How long has she been with the township?
She's had a couple of different stints with the township.
Yeah.
She left for a while and came back. She had started, I think, probably back in going on 20 years ago.
Awesome.
And then she was here for a number of years and left and came back.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, if you want to get some, just send an email to both myself and
I can write it up.
Carolyn, and if you want to write it up, and then we can pass it along ahead. I think that'd be a great idea to recognize somebody who gave so much of their time and their life to the township. So I think that's a great idea.
Other
Any
comments?
final questions or comments from me? No? All right, then with that, I'd like to motion to adjourn this meeting.
Okay, and with that, we are adjourned at 8:33.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before you guys run out,
Oh, yeah.
can I get you to sign for me, please? Let's start that way. Thanks, guys on Zoom. Question, how do we do?
You want to get after we sign it, we can have Carolyn
We'll figure this
scan
out.
it and send it to them.